God, God, we praise you for this day, Lord, for waking us up, Father. And, God, we just pray for this meeting. God, I pray for your guidance and direction, Lord. And God, just, uh, God, just stir conversation, Lord, so your glory can be found, God. God, I pray for those who are sick, Father. And God, we just thank you for life. And God, just be with us today and just thank you for your cross. Amen.
Roll call.
Dick White,
Here.
Carly Bezer,
Here.
Jack Baker,
Here.
Joe Bird,
Me.
Julia Coates,
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk, Janelle Fulbright, John Garvin, Frankie Hargis, China Glory Jordan, Lee Keener, Curtis Snell,
Here.
Denise Taylor, David Thornton, Victoria Vesquez,
Here.
David Walkingstick, Tara Cowden Watson. We have a quorum.
Thank you, and I'll entertain for approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to be approved.
Motion made and seconded. Frankie. And any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval passed. Our reports, Marcia Lamb.
I don't have too much to report today, but I am very thrilled to report to you that we are moving into the Veteran Center today as we speak. Now, give us a few days to get set up because we're just moving, but I hope by next month I have a whole lot to report to you about that. I do want to give you an update, even though this is for not this month, but you'll see that there was no active activity in your monthly report for the $200 stipend that we give the elders. But as of today, we have given out 1,268 payments. So we have started our first round. We actually give 2 payments a year on that. And the first is in the early spring, and the other one is somewhere around August. So that will greatly help our elders. That's all I have.
Ms. Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one of my questions was the report showed 0 on there. So your 1,268 is number of payments, but not number of different elders, right? And that's since
No,
inception?
that's elders.
So we've served 1,268 different elders
Yes.
with this program.
Yes.
Is it the timing of the report that we went from 0 to 1,268? I'm trying to get an idea.
We do it just twice a year. We can't do it before now, like we can't do it in January because we're busy doing LIHEAP. So they actually get help for the same service that they get the EIE.
Okay, so these are just this year's recipients.
Yes.
How many of those are LIHEAP recipients, and how many of those are in that buffer zone with the additional income?
I'll try to break it down for you.
Could you email that to us as a follow-up? Is that something, Mr. Chair, that we can get from in the next week?
I think that when she sends it to
If we're
Gail,
able
Gail
to.
could disperse it to us. Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you for all your help with ICW and the emergency assistance with the families. You and Barbara have been really gracious and great about getting back with me on very complicated issues, and I appreciate that. I couldn't find in there, maybe it's something I just overlooked in reading the report, but the elder advocates, we hired somebody for Rogers and Tulsa County.
We are
How's
in-
that working for everyone else?
We have hired all but one. And we are interviewing for that position.
And that person will serve both Rogers and Tulsa County?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We're not overlooking, we're still taking the referrals and someone's going, it's just we don't have one seated at that placement.
Okay. So like Janet or somebody's taking it in the meantime?
Probably, that's probably who
Okay,
it
very
is.
good, very good. Thank you very much, Marcia. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Frankie?
Marcia, on the burial program, is the income guideline set at the federal poverty levels?
It's poverty Well, no, I'm going to tell you wrong. I believe it's poverty plus 50%. I'm just not sure of the percentage, but I can find out for you.
If you just email me, please.
Yeah.
Any other questions? One more.
Yeah, now on that burial policy, that is all federal money that we're using now, is that correct?
No, some of it's tribal.
Okay, do we still have any of the tribal money?
Yeah,
I thought we were already out of the tribal money.
it hasn't been reported to me.
Would you check that, because I'm getting some info that we were out of it, and I was gonna ask you if that's, what we've spent, and if we are out of it, what will we need to meet expectations through the end of the year?
We combine the two and make that contracted service. So we couldn't do a contracted service. That's why I'm wondering. There was some money last year that was donated to us and administration, or not to us, but to Cherokee Nation. And administration gave it to us. And now that money is gone.
And
It may be that.
Okay, that was unrestricted, that was a donation from someone.
That was a
other than
donation, yeah,
The federal monies that we received.
yeah.
Okay. Everything else is, and that was a one-time small amount.
Yeah.
It went away.
Yeah.
So what we're operating under now is everyone has to come under those guidelines.
Yeah.
And I too, if you would send maybe the whole council out, just kind of the guidelines and where the cutoffs are, if you got 2 people in the family, 3 people, 4 people, or where the cutoffs are, it would be very helpful for us,
On the burial program?
because I know I get several questions on that a month.
Just keep in mind that this, because poverty level sometimes raises, every year it'll be different, so,
But for this year, it
Yeah.
would be this amount that you'll send us. Okay.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes, on the burial, can you also send out on that list that you're going to send us a list of the people in our areas that handle that? And get a phone number for them, so when people ask us, we can,
and I apologize, you all should have had that.
they'll know
In
where
the
to go.
beginning. But do you want it by county, by district? But sometimes the district's a little bit tricky.
Could we do it by the
County,
office?
Okay.
County would be great. Just
Okay.
the office handles it,
All right,
phone numbers in our area.
I'd like to see that by county also, if you could. Anything else? Thank you. Mr. Qualls?
Good afternoon, everyone. Have a few things to report to you. Saw Diane Kelly just walk in, and she told me that I must report this. Her department's making an application for a Youth Built grant, and for the record, we want the record to show that the Community Services is going to work with Diane and her group on the Youth Built grant application. So we'll do what we can. So there you go, Diane. It's in the record.
Can you explain a little bit what's this grant, what's Youth Built, what's it do?
I can, but it would be better if it comes from Diane. We are still receiving a substantial increase in applications for our rehab program. Just want you to be aware of that. And before the year's over, we'll be bringing to this body some information on how we can increase our funding for that program. It will not be based on the number of applications we're currently receiving. As as an example, we've received, so far this year, over 600 applications. And the program is not set up to address the needs of 600 folks. As an example, last year, all year, we assisted just over 600 families, and that included 53 homes that we did. So, anyway, we'll be bringing information to you later on, hopefully next month on that. That's all I have, and unless there's some questions.
Yes, Ron, have you got your advertisement out yet for the replacement homes that you're gonna build this year?
Yes, Mr. Pruitt has been working on that, and we have, we expect, do you expect to have all, I think we're anticipating 31 replacement homes?
We currently have 13, I think we have the agreements signed on 3 that are out for bid. And the other ones should be out for bid within a week, those first 3.
So, I initially thought we would have all the bids out by this time. David went lame on us and been in the hospital and got broke ankle. So, but anyways, they're working on it, and we'll have everything bid here in the next a few weeks. Part of the problem with it is, before we send anything to contracts, we have to have an agreement that's signed by the families, and we're in the process of getting those agreements signed by the families now. So, looking forward to at least 32 families getting a new house.
There's one I've asked you about several times offline. Is that one in that list?
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Early?
Ron, I had some questions about some rural water district. I just want to know what we're doing over there. It's Mays County Rural Water District 6. Chris. And I got 2 more. I just want. That's Mays Rural Water District 6. You
Yes.
signed MOAs with them?
Yes, for the water treatment plant?
Okay, water treatment plant.
Yes.
What about Delaware 10? What are we doing there?
Our engineers are working with that district, partly on.
Around Grove area, and they were
Right.
losing water and the well was going dry.
Right, we're working with them to rehab the well, to see if that's even possible.
Okay.
And if we, for some reason we can't, we'll look at other options.
And District 11, I don't,
Delaware 11?
Delaware 11, yeah.
We've got a project with them on phase 2 of the project. The call cord extension is about, we had the pre-bid last week, the bid opening is this week.
Okay, so, and this is a really good project for the other committee members. Call Court has had just problems after problems after problems, so I'm really happy to see that we're going to be furnishing water over Call Court. They have boil orders, and wells drying, pumps around, so this is a really good project. I'm glad. That's it. That's all the questions. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Watts?
Thank you. Ron, I know that I send you a lot of questions and requests for assistance and stuff. Maybe it would help if I better understood. I know David and his team have a lot on their plate with rehab, for example. But what that timeline is that's expected from the time somebody, approximate, I know it's approximate, it's not. But could you tell me what the timeline is, or provided in writing, what kind of expectations in general people have from the time they apply and then they're notified that?
Sure. We'll provide everyone with the process that we go through. I will tell you, though, that generally, one of the biggest hang-ups or time factors in the whole process of getting someone approved is receiving incomplete information. And we have to resend and resend. But yeah, we'll provide you with that. We'll provide everyone with that process.
Okay, that's helpful. And then I had one other question. So in the changes, I can never remember the new name for COTA. So I apologize. CCO?
CCO.
Okay, so CCO, whatever that stands for.
But I see that Now, CCO is community culture and outreach. It is the overall name for the process that they have. We still have CATA. CATA is still a part of CCO.
Okay, so that leads to my question then, is I had a full blood from my community ask about assistance for her church. And she was told that there was like not really grant money available and that everything's been committed for this year, which I can understand that maybe it's committed already. But she was kind of turned away in a sense, and that there was like no real hope in the process. And that's a little bit different than I recall how we did things before. So help me understand. Like on that card, can you have somebody send me the package for what they should be applying for?
We can send anyone that wants a copy of the process, the policy.
Will you send that to me?
Sure, but churches are not part. Maybe they used to be, but churches
Okay,
aren't.
because I know we funded a school, a public school before, so I didn't understand why we wouldn't go ahead and fund a church, because I thought the churches were included too, if they were all mainly Indian.
Not aware that churches are eligible,
Okay,
but I'll send you the policy.
perfect, thank you.
Ms. Taylor?
I just want to express some appreciation. I had a handicapped elder that had some sewer issues. Turned out to be sewer and gas line had to be taken care of quickly, and I was kept in the loop the whole time, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ms. Coates?
Mr. Qualls, I'm looking at the technical assistance capacity building workshops that CATA has been doing with 29 or 24 of the regional community organizations here. And I just wondered if these kinds of workshops, I see two of them, technology, tips, tricks, and trends being one of them, and the other one being evaluating community resources. Is there any possibility that these kinds of workshops could also be done with the at-large community organizations? Because this is exactly the kind of thing that so many of those groups need, it seems to me, in terms of being able to build their organizations. And I see that there was one of them that was webcast for the first time. And do you know if there was any like specific outreach made to the leadership of the at-large satellite organizations to inform them or invite them or include them, for instance, in that type of a webcast?
I think that is one of the goals, is to provide it to the at-large. I don't think this first one was, but that's the goal, to eventually to broadcast these to all the at-large that are interested.
Well, I think that's fine and everything, but I would ask that if it could be a little more aggressive simply than, broadcasting it to people who might be interested in them. I mean, there are several of these groups that quite frankly are failing in the sense of support from the Cherokee Nation that had sort of previously been there, especially through CNCA, which has only met twice, I think, in the last year and a half or something like that. They're not getting the support that they had had in the past. And I think that this kind of thing, while I know they appreciate very much the cultural presentations that they're getting, in terms of building viable and strong organizations, they also really need this technical assistance, this training, and so forth. And so I would really, really request that outreach and aggressive outreach to really bring them into the process of these webcasts could be made to them. I know they would really, really
Great idea.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. And thanks for your quick response on the roads question that I had and the grades questions that I brought to you and Michael the other day. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Ron, I've got the no water line. Where are we on that?
Water line.
We waiting for weather or what?
Where did I go? There it is.
No water?
No water? Oh, the 415 road, yes. We got permission from the county commissioners to go out into the county right away, so that's been cleared. They did require that we bore under the dirt road to the north. I kind of disagree with that. It's a dirt road.
It's
so
a gravel road?
We're gonna put it out for bid. Material's already been stored and we're ready to go. That's just the last hurdle, is to get that road bore to the north bid out.
Who was the, let me get with you after the meeting.
Okay.
Find out who the commissioner is. Go ahead.
Ron, if you know, who's doing the water and sewer project to the Mark Homer facility?
That would be facilities, or the contractor.
Yeah, I just wonder, yeah, who's doing that and what's the status report on that?
I couldn't answer that, Councilor Byrd. I'll have to get back with you on that.
Okay.
It's not through the water and sanitation program, I can tell you that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I think it's with Mr. Davis's group, facilities.
Okay.
Ron, I don't know who I asked you or Gary, but the storm shelters in the various, especially the senior citizens homes and apartment complexes that we have.
I think that's a good segue into. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you. Gary Cooper.
Set you up, Gary.
Yeah.
And that is, that's one of the items that we are looking at putting into the Indian Housing Plan for the next one. Because that's the main thing with that, is finding the funding to do that. The next Indian Housing Plan, which will probably be bringing in May.
Next IHP will be started in May, yes.
Yeah, so we'll probably be bringing that forward in May, and we'll look at some funding options in there.
I know you looked at the Alloy storm shelter. Do we have any idea what that would cost to duplicate?
Now, I've got some estimates from some other folks, but I did not get an estimate on that one. I wasn't able to get some cost on that. One of the things that I did want to mention is that there's a couple of things actually that's coming up. You'll probably be hearing in the next couple of days that we finally got our allocation for the HOSTA funds for this past year, or for this current year. That would be for the 2014 IHP. Those were finally, those are in the pipeline released. The other thing is that we finally seen a draft of a reauthorization bill out of the House. We are happy to at least see some movement there. We hope that in the next few weeks that will get released and start making its way through the process over in the House. We have already seen one out of being introduced into the Senate, and right now, actually probably just for, it should be coming out of the Senate here just a minute. Negotiated rulemaking, since HUD's now got money for the fiscal year. They are working on scheduling those meetings again. I serve on that committee, and they've already set one up for April. They're looking at setting another one up for this summer, which would be our 4th session, I believe, and then possibly another one before the fiscal year, if they have the money to do that. So that's kind of where we're at on a couple of announcements that I needed to be sure to get in. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Ms. Taylor.
Do we lean on the abstract companies to get our abstracts back a little bit faster?
We can work on it. We're at the mercy of some abstract companies out there in the local areas that we don't really have
Frustrating
any
thing
control
is,
over.
we're getting our stuff done, and then they're holding us up.
And I wish we really had some way to really lean on them. One of the things that we see is a lot of times there's not a lot of options for that. And sometimes too, and I would like to say too that there are a few of them that might notice a problem and will try to maybe get fixed or clear up or make sure that they didn't miss something or whatever the case is before they actually finish and certify that final abstract and get it out to save time and money on the back. We've seen that a couple of times in a couple of areas. I trust me, I understand the frustration, and that's a frustration of mine. I wish that there was someone. We're looking at a couple of options, but you know, Oklahoma is one of the few states that that does it. In several counties, they've got a corner on the market. So it's not like we can just go to the next one because they may on both.
I understand that. But
Yeah.
it's very frustrating.
It is.
Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes, just further comment on that. There's generally only 2 certificates given by the state for abstract companies in your county. And some counties don't even have both of them utilized. There's just one abstract company in that county. Or if there's 2, they know darn well they can take their time on the bit. They really do have a corner on the market. That's been a continuing problem for at least the 35 years that I've practiced. To get an abstract back is just like pulling teeth sometimes. They know they can take their time. But then when they give it to the lawyer, they want to turn around one day. Now, go figure, they held on to it for a month and they want us to read it in one day. There you go. But it is a problem. Because if you take the work away, where do you take it? You don't have a place to take it to. I mean, you're at their mercy.
Harley?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions here.
Yes, sir.
Cost of funding, what do we expect getting?
I believe it's 28 million. I think is what the IHP
Around
is.
there. The other question I had is on our housing policy, Gary. Is there and I haven't seen the policy on how you regulate it, but 2 questions. Are they for first-time homeowners? So what I'm asking is, a person had an MH house before and lost it, can he apply and get this house again?
If they lost it where maybe they were married and divorced and the spouse got the house, in instances like that, I think that if they lost it, I think that is also a possibility as long as they don't owe us any.
It could be a Title VI home.
Yeah, any previously owed funds. If they owed us money, then that money would have to be paid before we.
So the policy is not, has to be first.
No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't
The
have to
other
be
question I
first
had-
time. They just can't currently own a home. Or if they currently own a home, it has to be substandard.
Okay. And the other question I had is, I'm sure this is, but the single person are qualified?
Yes, they are. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And that's the same on our new program and also like mortgage assistance and those other programs.
Thank you.
Ms. Watts?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a couple of questions, Gary. Just want to make sure I'm reading it. We have 67 homes completed as of today and signed over to, or at least as of this report.
I think as of the report, which would have been the end of March, January.
Okay. And then I was reading the prior newspaper, and somebody also brought it to my attention, but it has homes under construction, I guess they're reporting permits. And it says we have a Cherokee Nation Housing Authority building a new home for $110,000. Are we putting in the permit for above what it's valued at, or how are we doing this? Because I thought we were at cost of $80,000 or something.
Does it give a location?
Yeah, it's Monday, March 3rd, and it's 208 South Grove Street.
That was I think the house burned or something like that. I know the home, but.
And then, yeah, I mean, it's not on our new program.
Okay.
Is there a replacement?
It could, well, it could be if it was our house and it burned, our insurance company would be. We would technically still own the property, and our insurance policy covers replacement
Apparently it
costs.
raised questions with folks, and rightfully so, because I think think I remember what it was.
Yeah, and on the insurance.
Can you find out?
Yeah, what was the name of the street?
Rowe, R-O-W-E.
I can. I can find out.
Okay.
But I'm guessing that that does sound pretty close to what a 16 to 1,800 square foot of living space house would be insured for, and that's what we would have. And that would include both the cost of rebuilding and the demo. Yeah. So they would have got the insurance company would have wanted the total cost there.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Gary.
And that was in Pryor, right?
Yes. And thanks for always answering all my questions, Mike.
Try to do that for
Thank you,
everyone.
Mr. Chair.
Jody?
You know, Gary, Chief Baker promised to rebuild the housing authority, and I know it's took you a while. I know this very council is the one that dismantled the #1 housing authority in the nation. I don't know why they did, but they did. They decided they didn't want to give people homes. And I know he promised to build 300 houses a year. And I know we've been having to put a housing authority together, and we're gearing up, and we're starting to do better, and we're starting to build steam. He promised to take this nation. He didn't say we was going to make the perfect housing authority, and he didn't promise to make the nation perfect. And he has admitted in his speeches, we're building more, we're getting there. I don't know if people want us to fail at housing. I don't know if they want us to take him out and beat him. I'm not sure what's the answer or what they're wanting. But I know you're starting to build more houses, you're getting more on the planning board, there's more coming down the pipeline. I hate it that we're not living in the perfect Cherokee Barbie world. It'd be great if we all did, but we're not. We're having to rebuild from scratch what these very people voted to get rid of. And I'm glad to see the numbers are climbing.
And I think you'll see those continue to climb over the spring as the weather, I mean, look outside today. It's really nice out there today, and it's starting to dry up. And we'll start seeing some movement here in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Well, I see there's more coming down the pipeline, and I hope you keep up the work, and I hope we see more built this fall.
That's what our plan is.
And I don't want a pound of your flesh nor Chief Baker's. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Gary, just one comment. Thanks for the report. It's a good thing that a Cherokee house is worth $110,000 because we didn't spend that much money on it, did we?
No,
When
we
built
did
it.
not. And I can, and just to kind of give you an example, we had a house burn here just down the road, I want to say probably in Councilor Byrd's district. And it was probably insured for somewhere around that amount. Bid came in Friday, I think, and it looks like the cost to rebuild that house is somewhere in the 70 range. So just because you see one that we have insured and give a building permit for $103,000 certainly doesn't mean that that's what it's going to cost to rebuild.
Good thing.
When that 110,000 was mentioned, the 110,000 is exactly what they're insured
Yes,
for
ma'am.
under Ameren, is that right?
That would be correct.
So if it's a burnout, most likely that's the amount that Ameren will pay is up to the
They will pay us
110,000.
up
So
to
there
that
will
amount.
probably be a permit issued for that amount.
That's absolutely correct.
Thank you.
And just as a reminder, whenever we insure a house, our insurance policy is to replace that house. It's not based on depreciation, it's not based on anything else. If there is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot of living space under a roof house there, that's what they pay to build back. It covers replacement.
Here.
You're welcome, sir.
Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon. You should have our report in your packet, but I do have a few things I want to mention. We opened bids this past week on J. Kenwood Bridges. It's a single project with 4 individual bridges. We had 3 bidders on that, and we are currently analyzing bids. We had 1 non-taro bidder and 2 taro bidders on that project. So we're currently analyzing that. And recommendation or an award has not been made at this time. We are working with Cherokee Nation Enterprises with their involvement with ODOT as far as the Roland expansion goes. We've been in a few meetings with them as well as with Oklahoma Department of Transportation, try to coordinate the efforts there between those two entities. Also last Thursday, I met with ODOT again out of the Muskogee office to discuss with them their review of the 30%, well, roughly 30% complete construction plans for this light at Sequoia High School. They had a few minor comments that needed to be addressed on the plans. Engineer will be making those revisions. They're going to be starting a traffic movement study in that intersection to determine the light timing and things of that nature, as well as to see how long turn lanes and merge lanes need to be at that intersection. So the plans are moving along. They are not quite halfway yet, but they are moving along. That is all I have to report. I'll be glad to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you give me an update on those two driveways we've been talking about?
The first driveway, I don't recall the name, but the first driveway that was approved, the PO has been issued, and we're, as I think I put it in an email, we're kind of waiting on the second PO to be issued. The second requisition was entered last week. That was for the Laxton driveway. Was entered last week. We don't have a PO yet to my knowledge, but we anticipate one would be coming this week. Once we do, we've been coordinating those through Mr. Pruitt's shop, and just makes it simpler on them because they're both relatively close to one another. It makes it simpler on them to try to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. So, but they are moving along.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Joe? Not cut north, you guys, they're doing a good job. I've driven that several times. They're actually going over a piece of property right where I was raised there. The only drawback is I like the progress, but no one ever consulted or let me know they were going to do. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, get an easement, because it's restricted land. They said, well, we asked your brother. I said, my brother doesn't own that land.
Well, now we did meet out there with Alphas.
Yeah, well, he
Is that the
doesn't
same
own that.
property?
Yeah, he doesn't own that land.
Okay.
That part I'm talking about. But the progress I'm pleased with, and I'll get firsthand to see how they take care of the brush piles when it's over. I haven't seen one yet, but I'll get to observe this one. But keep up the progress.
We will. And Cherokee Nation Realty was involved in that meeting, and the survey stakes that were through there, actually the project is going through the adjacent landowner across the road. There is brush pile, I believe, on what would be considered your property.
Yes.
But the construction is certainly not going through there. Any asphalt, so to speak, is not going through there. But we will see that the brush piles are addressed.
Good. So far, so good.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Yes, have you got to visit with the county commissioner on the Hines Creek chip and seal?
I had asked Barry Hood to contact him last week. I hadn't got a report back from Barry to find out exactly what the plan was, but I did get the map. I think I talked to you about the map. I did get the map on that, but I haven't heard or haven't actually got to speak with him or hear from Barry on that. But we'll follow up with him this week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any other, Ms. Watts?
Thank you very much. Michael Lynn, I just want to say thank you to you and your department for responding when I had questions about the transportation. And I caught in the newspaper that we now have SkyTook as transportation partnership, same as Pelivan. So will you do some more news releases or I don't know, did the Cherokee Nation send a news release? Because I think I only saw one from our partner.
That was through the partnership with Cimarron Transit.
So I painfully put together one to let folks know from my side because I couldn't get to the electronic version. So if we could have one, that way I don't misstep and send them somewhere they shouldn't go. If we could have one from our side, I think that would be helpful too.
Okay. I'll look into that.
And to continue to pursue any of that North Tulsa area is greatly appreciated.
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you probably, I don't know if you knew, but SkyTook is now a transport partner.
Good deal.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I did follow up with Pelivan on the driver in Nowata. They still do not have a driver hired. He told me they had 2 applicants, and they did not meet qualifications due to driving record issues. I have actually put some feelers out through the career services as well as some family that I have up in the area. And I've actually got a couple of phone calls from folks that I either know or were passed along to me, and I've passed them on to Pelivan. So we're trying. Ultimately, that's Pelivan's responsibility to find drivers for that route, but we're doing everything we can to try to help as well.
And until then, is there a plan B?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I'm going to say this once again to you. I said it before on the phone. If this was Tahlequah or Stillwell, you would have fixed it by now. And I'm a little upset that it's gone this long. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, we do have in Tahlequah and Stillwell, for instance, we have dispatch facilities there where multiple buses are stored. Drivers report in every morning. We don't have that in Nowata. I mean, if a driver here in Tahlequah is out sick or out for surgery, let's say, they can pull from a pool of drivers here in Tahlequah and in Stillwell because of just the way that they're set up. They actually they have a single bus in Nowata and a single driver in Nowata, and it's just not as easy to pull drivers in.
And our provider never notified you they didn't have a driver? Is that
No, sir, they
correct?
did not, and that has been addressed with them.
Getting ready to ask if we have a day worker that has a proper driver's license. But I'll ask that of the,
I bet one be done drinking.
we don't need it. Okay, thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anna Knight?
I have just a few things I wanted to note, and otherwise you have my report, but we've processed 949 tax returns so far this year, so that's really a good thing. And also, I want to remind everyone, if you talk to people in your communities, there's a link. I'm sorry.
There's a report in our booklet?
Should be. Oh. Then maybe not. We submitted it. I think it was Shelley's fault. No, we submitted it. Yeah, if you don't have copies of it, I have copies. Oh, you do?
10 days.
Well, we submit it to government relations on a timely manner. Any fingers?
Not Shelley?
Not Shelley. No, that was just teasing. But if you visit with people out in your communities, we still have a link for self-preparation tax returns on the website, and that's proven to be very popular and very easy for people to go on there, hit that link, and submit their tax returns themselves. We also have a financial education program, the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University, that we're offering starting in April at Hastings, and we've had a lot of people sign up for that, so we've had very positive feedback. And the last thing is on the HUD 184 program, the origination fee is increasing by 0.5%, so that's going to make a little bit of a difference, but it changes on a $175,000 loan by about $4 a month, so it adds up over a 30-year mortgage. Other than that, you just got my report, so I'm sure you don't have any questions. Oh, you didn't? Oh, I thought she gave them out to you.
It's the wrong one. That's not it.
Ah.
Cultural
So.
I had a
Well,
bunch
then
of questions on this cultural.
Well, I can make something up for you.
You would probably answer.
Get her to send us by electronic.
Yes.
Her report.
Yeah.
I bet Shay's watching now, and you'll have it before I even get back to the office.
I had a comment from Bill Bird.
I was going to use this different report. But
That really threw me off.
Okay, I had a bunch of hands go up, and let me do this again. I've got Jack, Lee, and Harley.
I was just gonna comment that we
Okay.
didn't have the
Jack-
report.
Jack, how about Lee Keener?
I was gonna say the
No
same, but I
report.
had one question.
Okay.
Thank you. Is the foreclosure report on there, on your?
It is.
report?
It
Okay,
is.
you can see that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Hurley, you're next.
Two questions, Ann.
Okay.
On the 184 loans,
Mhm.
do you track all 184 loans or just what's come through your?
Just what's coming through MAP. The only other kind of tracking that we have gotten from HUD in the past are delinquencies and loans that are getting ready to go into foreclosure.
So we don't know how many 184 loans are being done for Cherokee?
Not on a regular basis, no, and I've requested
They're not
it.
required to send you the.
I actually requested it a couple of months ago and haven't heard back from them.
I guess there's nothing we can do to get them, you know, if they can't, if they won't do it, they won't do it. But the other question is, what about our coins? Are we getting ready to make coins?
Well, we've run into a little bit of snag, and so we're trying to work around the fact that they wanted us to say that, they wanted our Attorney General's office to say that we have the legal rights to issue legal tender. And according to treaties and such from the past, we don't have that right. And so we're trying to kind of work around that issue with them. And if we can work it out, then we'll be issuing maybe some commemorative coins.
Okay, I would just ask Anna, and it sounds like she's already done it, just if we could track those 184 loans. Be interesting to see, I guess, what bank has issued those loans.
Bank 2 is the biggest.
Is that right? Is that a privately owned bank?
Yeah, it's the Chickasaw Bank. Uh-huh.
It'd be just nice to have that report to see, you know, what, how many people are getting those 184 loans. If you could get it, Anna, that'd be great.
Sure can. Well, I'll keep working on it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Watts?
Thank you. So can we ask HUD to report the Section 184 for Cherokees across the nation? Because, I mean, we do, since we have to have the authority to authorize those at-large areas, I mean, we need to see that data, I would think. Is that something that they could provide then?
They were able to provide it for us in the state of Oklahoma when they were trying to get us to help with their delinquencies. And so they have the ability to be able to do that. It's just a matter of getting the reports from them.
If we could ask as a standing report, even if it's quarterly rather than monthly, that would be really useful to understand across the nation. Thank you. Thanks, Anna.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
We have no old business, have no new business. Any announcements? Chair, take a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. 6.